Hey everybody, it's Miss Amy. I hope that you are all having a great summer, and today's craft is going to be making your own wind chimes. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a pair of scissors, and make sure that they're either safety scissors or you have an adult help you out with those, since they can be a little bit sharp. In your kit, you should have gotten this round piece of wood, and it's kind of woven together. It looks kind of cool, almost like a little bird's nest. And then you should have gotten beads, of course, a lot of beads, and then some string. Can't really see it, but it's there, I promise. So what we're gonna do is our first part is going to be making sure that this wooden part is going to hang, and we want to try to make it even like this. You see how it is? It's a little bit even. It's not kind of like wonky off to the side like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of string, and it's about the size of my forearm. You can make it a little bit longer if you want it to hang down a little bit lower, or if you want it to be really kind of tight up against what you're going to be attaching it to. You can make it a little bit shorter. I would suggest making a little bit longer, and then if it's too long, you can kind of cut the edges off, because if it's too short, you won't be able to get it through this wood piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of try to do parallel, right? So parallel means up and down, lined up. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread it into and through one of these little, they almost look like branches. So we're going to thread it. It might take a little bit of patience, but if you pick something on the top, you should be able to do it no problem. So you see I'm through the first part of it, right? And then you kind of just want to see if you can put it the exact opposite of that, and then you thread it through the middle like that. Okay, so I already have an example. You're going to want to make it kind of tight, and then you're going to want to tie a knot. Now, I don't know if your materials are going to be a little bit different, but for these strings, they're kind of slippery and they're really, really thin. Can you see that? They're really super thin. So you might have to make a few knots, and then that's so they don't slip out, and then your wind chime won't fall down. So once you do that, it'll look like that. Okay, and then you're going to take more string, and then you're going to cut it. Again, you can do it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. If you do it a little bit longer, you might not have beads all the way up to the top, but that's fine. Again, you want to kind of give yourself a little bit of length to play with, because you're going to be tying it to that string that we just tied that knot into, okay? So make sure, again, you tie a knot in this string on one end of it, and it's going to take a few knots, because otherwise our beads are going to just slip right past this knot and then fall on the ground, and then you'll have to start over. So just make sure that we're going to tie a lot of knots. Okay, that's about 3 knots. And again, to make sure that your beads don't fall off of the string, I would choose a bead that has a really, really small opening, a really tiny hole, right? Because see, this one, that might be too big and it's just gonna fall off the end. But let me see, your knot might be bigger, but see, it just goes right through it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose one that's a little bit smaller. I'm gonna try to choose this one. It's kind of a pretty teal color. And again, this might be too big. It's too big. So it's just a matter of being patient and then finding a small bead here. All right, maybe this one is the one that I need. Let's look. All right, success. Okay, you see how that just stays there? And then this looks like a bead, one of those beads that's made out of paper. I think earlier in the YouTube videos, you can look and you can find a tutorial from another member of Heart and Hand that shows you how to make these beads. So that might be kind of cool. You can make your own beads if you have the materials for that craft. Might make it a little bit more special. So just since we have this bigger bead now, you can pretty much do whatever beads you want on top of that one. See, it kind of serves as a guard to keep that in place. So I'm going to choose, I really like the bigger beads. They're heavier. I think if you choose bigger beads, when the wind blows, they'll really knock into the other string and kind of make a cool sound. Right? So what is really going to make the most noise are these bells, okay? So you can either do the bells, there's that top part right here, that's going to be easier to thread this through that. So I'll do that as an example. Okay, you can already hear it. And then you can just do whatever beads you want on top of that. You can make them different colors, different sizes of beads. All right, and so I have one, it's not entirely finished, but I can always finish it later. And what we're gonna do is, remember we had that string that we have attached to the top that we threaded through this wood. We're going to tie this bead string onto the string that this wind chime is going to hang from. Okay, so again, you might have to use a few knots because you don't want it to fall because the beads are kind of heavy. So you're just going to attach it. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to try to put it against my shirt because my shirt's black and might be easier to see. Right? So when it's tight, the bottom looks like this, right? And remember what I said about being parallel? That way it'll be easier for it to hang straight, okay? So we're gonna tie it, we're gonna tie the bead string to this piece of string. So since it doesn't, I don't want it to slip, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to tie a few knots, and it might, you know, it might take you a minute or two. You just have to be kind of patient when it comes to crafts and arts and things like that, especially since we're just learning how to do it. Most of the time in life, you can't do things perfectly the first time. That would be awesome, but you know, learning and making mistakes just means that you're getting closer to figuring out how to do it the way that you'd like to do it. So I already have one example. I put more beads on that than I did this one. But see, you can kind of hear it. And then the more beads that you have and the more strings, the individual strings that you have attached, the more it'll make sound, right? Because it'll have more things to knock against and make that sound. Okay, so That's how you make a wind chime. I like to set it outside my front door. That's where I'm going to put it, since when it's windy, when I'm in the living room reading or just relaxing, I'll be able to hear this wind chime. Um, so be sure to check out, we have one video a week. Each video is going to be a different Heart and Hand team member. Make sure that you check it out on Mondays. And if you'd like to reply in the comments what kind of arts and crafts that you'd like to do, you're always welcome to do that. I hope that you all are enjoying camp very much and getting to reconnect with your friends. And I hope you had a really good 4th of July. And hopefully I will see you very soon. All right, bye guys.